respond to the issues of yesterday because my attention was drawn to the fact that before the House commenced business, somebody got up to say that the House was not ready, and the Speaker also gave an indication that he had come early and that those of us in charge of government business were not bringing the business. That's a most unfortunate picture. What happened yesterday was that the finance committee was programmed to meet at 10 o'clock in order for us to be able to have a sitting at about 12. Subsequently, we got to know that the minority caucus was having a meeting. So the finance committee then elected to have their meeting at 12. So I engaged the Speaker and told him that given what the finance committee wants to do, to have the meeting at 12, which I thought perhaps was not going to span for more than 1 hour, they will still have to write their reports. The leadership of the committee agree on the content, but the report to eventually be printed in the printed room, in the room downstairs for distribution to members. I said to Mr. Speaker that the earliest the House could sit would be 2 p.m. But when we went for the meeting lasted from 12 beyond 3 p.m. So when we closed at about 3:15 thereabout, exactly 3:17, I called the Speaker. On 2 occasions, he couldn't respond. So I sent him a WhatsApp message, as I did earlier, that given the circumstances, it wasn't going to be possible for the House to sit at 2 because the Finance Committee's meeting had gone beyond 3 o'clock. So I proposed that the House sits at 5. Whether or not the Speaker read the message, I don't know. But then around 4:15, 4:20, he came to the chamber to preside. When I got to see that, because I had just entered my office, I had to rush to the chamber. And I told his secretary that I had sent some message to him, and I was surprised that he had come to sit. And then the secretary told me that normally these days, because he wants to have more time to rest, he doesn't access his phones. So if I have any serious message to the Speaker, I rather should communicate to him so that he could relay same to the Speaker. But be that as it may, we came for the sitting. The Speaker exited, and when he did exit, he called the First Deputy Speaker to hold the fort. The First Deputy Speaker came in, and the message from the Speaker to the First Deputy Speaker was that he should hold the fort. He will join him presently, that in the shortest possible time he will join him. He will come and relieve the Speaker again. The First Deputy Speaker yesterday wasn't feeling well at all, and we had to persuade him to come and sit. It's the reason why when he sat for a brief while, he had to excuse himself, go and take his medication for the Second Deputy Speaker to preside, and then come back to relieve him subsequently. So that is the sequence of events yesterday. What led to the confusion? One was the issue about the standing orders. Standing down Order 81, which requires that when a bill has been debated in the House, when it's gone through the second reading, we should wait for at least 48 hours for us to do the consideration of the bill. But this bill has gone to the Committee of Finance that had determined that it should be taken under a certificate of urgency. The honorable minority leader was saying that there was no indication that the executive wanted to have the bill considered under a certificate of urgency. That is most untrue. Why do I say it's untrue? It's untrue because the bill came to this House without publication. So it had no Gazette notification. And that should suggest to you that the executive wants the bill to be considered under a certificate of urgency. So when it came to the committee also determined that it's of urgent nature and must be so considered. It came to the floor and issues were raised by the Honorable Mahama Yariga relating to the same issue about whether or not it should be considered under a certificate of urgency. The Speaker ruled against him. And then there was this advertised motion that we should stand aside Order 81, which was raised by a member from the minority, that the attention of the Speaker should be on that motion. And the presiding Speaker at the time, the second Deputy Speaker, applied himself to it. But indeed and in truth, because we had decided to take the matter under a certificate of urgency, which requires that we could consider it within 24 hours, the Order 81 then had been rendered otious. It meant that it had no application. Automatically, it had fallen. So there was not even any need to move that motion. Be that as it may, the motion was moved, and a vote then had to be taken on it. And it ended in confusion, so the Speaker suspended the sitting. The second Deputy Speaker, who was presiding, suspended the sitting. And then, when we had to come back, the first Deputy Speaker came and assumed the chair. After a while, when he had called for division, he indicated that he wanted to go and take his medication and use the loo. Colleagues then felt, on the other side, that, well, if he hesitated, then he could not come and participate in the voting. I don't know of any constitutional provision. I don't know of any standing orders that prohibit a Deputy Speaker presiding from participating in the vote. There's no such. The Constitution and indeed our orders provide that the Speaker, and that is what distinction I sought to draw the other time, the Speaker does not have an original or a casting vote. Why? Because our Speaker is not a member of Parliament. He's not one of the 275 members of Parliament, which is why he's barred by the Constitution and the standing orders from participating in our voting. The orders provide that Deputy Speakers do not have original votes. The orders don't say that they cannot have a casting vote. Ladies and gentlemen, any one of you who is cognizant with parliamentary practice will come to appreciate the fact that in the Westminster system, where speakers are members of Parliament, the speakers don't have original votes. Why? Because, you see, when they sit in the seat, they are supposed to play the role of neutral arbiters, like referees. So they don't exercise original votes. But wherever we have members of Parliament who are speakers, they have a casting vote. What it means is that in the event of a tie, the Speaker will vote. It's only in the Westminster system, that is maybe the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and so on. In the US, which is the flagship of presidential systems, in all the states, the speakers have casting votes because they are members of Parliament. It's the reason why our speakers, the deputy speakers, are not forbidden by the Constitution and our standing orders to cast a casting vote. So, assuming the speaker left the seat for the second deputy speaker, and then he came back to preside. Even if he came back to preside, he, as a deputy speaker, in the event of a tie, can have a casting vote. On the other hand, if he came back and said the second deputy speaker was doing a good job, so he was, perhaps after taking his medication, going to be on the floor, as a member of parliament, he was entitled to a vote. So either way, whether presiding or on the floor, a deputy speaker is not forbidden by any rule, any constitutional prohibition or standing orders from having a casting vote. So why the injection of violence with people moving, the minority moving from their place to come and physically prevent the deputy speaker from assuming the chair? Why? In parliament, we debate issues with brain power, not brawn. With brain power, not brawn. So if you disagree with me, and that's what I was telling the deputy minority yesterday, whenever you are here, you see what happens. Whenever the minority leader has to speak, we are all ears, we want to listen to him. Whenever any member from the minority leadership gets up, they wouldn't want to listen. Where from that? Where from that? And you saw what happened, that in the course of the melee, a member from the minority moved and with whatever implement scratched, inflicted a wound beneath the eyelid of the Minister for Youth and Sports, himself a member of parliament. Where from this? The Parliament of Ghana has not witnessed such bestiality before.